Hey everyone! Good afternoon, happy Wednesday, and I hope you guys are having a good time. And this is again the Create Your Own Freedom series. This is episode 10 already, and this is the perfect show for you if you want to learn from different coaches from around the world and learn from their expertise, get inspired by their stories so that you can take action to, chase and follow your dreams and also to create your own freedom. So for today's episode, we are going to have two coaches who will be telling their story on how they created their main business out of their passion and out of their side hustle. Okay, I am Susie from the modernmaria.co, and let's check who are here tuning in live right now. So say hi. I think some of my students are here tuning in live. So say hi. Wait. Okay. Okay, so if you have questions, please make sure that you put that on our comment section because we can see it and we can flash your name on the screen and your question as well. And if you're not comfortable with that, that's totally fine. So you can just message us directly, and we'll let the guys answer your questions. All right. For our episode today, I just want to highlight that a lot of the businesses that you're seeing right now, like online businesses and even brick and mortar businesses, that didn't happen overnight. So success didn't happen like in 1 or 2 days. I'm pretty sure that you guys have been sold like, oh, you can get a business in like 14 days or 30 days. But I think that's a total scam because people had to go through a lot. Like entrepreneurs had to go through a lot in order to get there, in order to transform their side hustle into a business. And it happened as well with the Modern Maria Co. I didn't expect that this business is going to thrive in the middle of the pandemic, and definitely like started as a side hustle and a passion project because it's almost like advocacy when I started. But it's something that I loved. And one advice I got from the internet from a random stranger when I was starting as a coach, someone asking like, where do I start? And one stranger told me that you have to dip your toe first, okay, and then if you loved it, you have to go all in. And that's something that I still remember up until today. So for me, it's like you try it as a side hustle, you try it as a passion project, and then when you love it, you just have to pour your 100% because the success is also something that you can already assume. And I am so excited because I think these guys have similar stories with me. When they successfully transform their side hustle into a business. And we're going to learn about that later. But first, let me introduce them. They are confidence and communication coaches who help motivated 9 to 5ers develop profitable side hustles by helping them gain confidence to take action, communicate with purpose, and create opportunities. And these guys have almost 10 years of experience as business leaders in the corporate consulting world and 12 plus years in coaching and training in confidence, communication, and building strong connections for themselves, their peers, and their clients. And they've developed their own side hustle over the last 2 years. See, it doesn't happen overnight. And have recently been able to make their side hustle into their main business. So I welcome these guys, these communication coaches from UK, Ash and Filip, on our virtual stage. Hello, guys.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
Hello.
Glad to be here.
Yay! Okay, so Majo is already here. Okay, so we can see it. Thanks, Majo, for tuning in. And I think a lot of people will be asking questions later. But okay, so first before we head to the more challenging questions, I want to know, guys, like what was life before Lvl Up Academy when you started this main business, before you started this main business?
Oh my gosh, yeah, it was very different to what we're doing now. Kind of very similar background to you, but I think we'll kind of touch on our initial story where we had come from some scientific background, right? So I have a mechanical engineering degree, and
I was as a biomedical research scientist. I think Yeah, so we were kind of
He's got a
very.
PhD, so this is
So we were exploring some very different avenues before we came to where we are now. And yeah, so mechanical engineer, scientist, and we got to a place where we got a bit sick of sitting in the labs, sitting in the labs with our heads
Yeah.
in textbooks. And I mean, throughout all of that, we discovered that we were quite natural problem solvers and good with people as well. So it led us quite naturally into the world of business consulting.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we racked up all this experience of kind of teaching people and coaching, solving business problems, and we kind of naturally went into sort of leadership positions where we just started taking up those kind of mentoring roles, but obviously while also solving real business problems for like 5,100 companies is what we worked with. So we kind of helped them design their businesses, change their operating systems, kind of go through organizational change and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I think during that experience, as Ash kind of said, we were naturally gravitated towards those almost the leadership roles where we were coaching, we were mentoring, we were kind of helping people with the confidence, helping people with communication skills, and even before the consulting world, it's something we naturally did, and so yeah, I mean the jobs were comfortable.
Yeah.
It was a top tier consultancy, global consultancy. So we had the opportunity to work with kind of the biggest companies in the world, and it was really exciting. But there was just something missing for us, and we wanted to spread our wings a bit more and do something a bit bigger, a bit more kind of meaningful.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I want to highlight the one you said, like you've realized that you are problem solvers, because I think that's the number one skill, I would say, for entrepreneurs. Like, you really want to, I mean, it's genuinely interesting for you to solve problems and marrying that with your skills with people. And I think you are in the perfect industry, guys.
I appreciate you saying that. But it was, you're completely right that it's the kind of the problem solving. It's exciting. It's what gets you. I mean, it's almost the start of what gets you up in the morning, but it's almost kind of helping people solve their problems, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's adding value. It's not just kind of taking people's money, but you're obviously, we need to get paid to eat and
obviously.
The real driver in the morning is actually the reward of helping other people achieve what we've achieved, right? What we've been able to achieve, and that's yeah.
But yeah, you're right, and that problem solving is interesting because as entrepreneurs, especially new entrepreneurs, there's like the learning curve is so steep. There's so many different problems that you encounter on a day-to-day basis, and sometimes recurring problems because you think you solve it, and then there's just so much more to it. So that kind of development is quite key.
Yeah, it's kind of a rabbit hole when you try to dig in on one problem and then it just branches out, and then sometimes it can be out of control. This is why as well that I think it's very important to highlight because most of the listeners right now are aspiring entrepreneurs and aspiring coaches, that you need to select or choose the right problem to solve, because you cannot solve everything. And I think that's one of the basic things that we learned from Boss Graham Academy. Like, you have to find your niche, find the problem that you want to solve. And for you guys, just want to clarify, like, you were working in a big consulting firm before, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, we started a couple of businesses as a side hustle. Just to kind of on the side of our day-to-day job. So we were kind of working our way up the ranks. Again, we naturally gravitated to those roles where we were actually given a lot of responsibility in these companies. So it was a tough life. I mean, it was
tough. It was good and bad at the same time, because we were good at our jobs. We got more responsibility. But because we got more responsibility, we would have to work longer hours. But then we also had side hustle, and we were like, we need to grow that more. So that overlap between the two. Obviously, now it's exciting that we're doing this full time, and it's no easier,
because we're now just working
Yeah.
we're working longer hours, but kind of towards our what it is that we really want to do.
It's just a lot more exciting now.
Exactly.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I think the background in these corporate consulting, the corporate consulting background was hugely valuable, right? As we mentioned earlier on,
Of course.
we
Yes.
we were designing services, designing customer experience, business design, strategy, operations, all of that, working with the biggest companies in the world, helping them kind of streamline their operations, streamline their strategies, their purpose, their value. And it's obviously very different working with individual and new entrepreneurs. But one of our driving forces was, why is it that there's these kind of large companies, the companies that already have the knowledge, have the success, have the money? Why is the knowledge of how to build a successful business reserved for people like that, or kind of companies like that? And we really wanted to take what we learned, what we knew, what we've been able to achieve in those roles, as well as in our own side hustles, and bring it to the new entrepreneur, the aspiring entrepreneur. And so that's kind of what one of the the roots, the cause of the business that we run now.
Right. I think that's really admirable because the same thing. You're right. Like when you're doing the corporate, it just feels like you're more in touch when you're experiencing that firsthand with the people, like individuals, versus like when you're like on top of an executive, I don't know, the consulting firm. So what I want to know is what was the turning point for you guys? I know you have like all this purpose and everything, but what was the decision? What was the point where you decided like, okay, let's do this? And well, one thing that I'm curious as well is how did you come up with the partnership? Because as I've said from the backstage, I'm like, I cannot imagine myself doing this with another person because I think we're gonna have world war every day.
I mean, it's a daily battle.
We have world wars every day. But no, it was like I'll kind of touch on the partnership thing first, and then maybe you can do the story. So we were lucky enough that we started kind of working together on a project right at the beginning.
Right.
So in consulting, we get shipped from project to project, moving on. So Phil joined a few months before I started. So when I started, my first ever project was in a company that Phil was already working at. So we kind of met there and started talking about stuff, and then started complaining about the general hard life, right? I'm working long hours, all this kind of stuff. But it just so happened that we were then moving to different projects together, and so we stayed friends, and we stayed complaining about the corporate life and how we had very similar experiences and what we wanted to do. And then we started talking about, well, why don't we stop complaining about it and start doing something about it instead?
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, well, let's start talking about what we could do. I mean, at this point, we weren't thinking about it seriously. It was more like a joke. And then, I guess at some point, things got a little bit more serious.
But we, there was. It's interesting when we saw this turning point. We know our journey. As I said, we were friends beforehand. We're good friends, both in terms of kind of hobbies. I mean, we were interested in fitness, we were interested in business, we were interested in kind of helping other people and coaching. But yeah, we jumped onto this one project together, which was an exciting project with a global pharmaceutical company. Fantastic, good stuff. And it was a great team, but there were long hours. There were, a lot of the work that we were doing was just falling behind the cracks because the kind of leaders just wanted to go. They were on their own little kind of power trip, their own course. Yeah. And when we saw this question about kind of the turning point, I think we both thought to ourselves, actually, I think that this project was the turning point. Yes, as I said, we were laughing, we were complaining about our work, wanted to do something else. But then at this point, on this particular project, we almost had our aha moment.
Yeah.
And we kind of asked ourselves, we always admired those entrepreneurs, obviously the obvious kind of tech giants, and how do they start their business? We'd love to do that at some point. And then during this project, I think we went either for lunch or we were kind of hanging out over a couple of drinks, and then we said, "Why not us? We've been talking about doing it ourselves for a while, but generally, can we answer the question, why not us? Why can't we do the same?" And then that kind of, I think that was the turning point, which sparked every other evening we had to give some excuse to the project we were in, and say we've got a meeting elsewhere. I mean, this was evening time anyway, so we should have been going home, but we then kind of booked a meeting room and had our own meeting. So
so in our calendar we blocked off with meetings, and like in our company, the projects that we're working on, if there's like, there are plenty of other projects that you can get shipped on to try and work while we're in our main business or main project.
Yeah.
So, and those are usually code named anyway. So we came up with a code name for our own project and put that in our meeting slots in the diary. It'd be like Project O meeting session. And our team was pretty friendly. And then there was a few people who were kind of switched on. They were like, "You guys seem to go to a lot of these project meetings together." Like, I can't talk about it. Sorry. So that was,
So you're basically using the resource of the company to do your side hustle.
The room. Yeah, we started it while it was outside of company hours, like allocated company hours.
But we were living this double life. We were working hard day to day. And I think that was probably the turning point where we actually started seriously brainstorming ideas. And for anyone who, when we kind of go on to talk about our, what our program actually does, you'll see similarities between our program is absolutely built on our journey, right? Absolutely. What we have learned over the last, 2 years of trying to start our own business, we had huge amounts of ideas. The first few months was just brainstorming ideas, creating mock websites, creating logos, all the exciting stuff, right? All the fun stuff that makes you look like a business, but not necessarily operate like a business.
Can totally relate.
Because it's the fun stuff. And it's
exactly.
And you don't, and it's kind of almost the comfortable stuff as well.
Yeah. It's also what in the front makes you look like you've done something. Yeah. Like, oh my God, look, I have a website. How cool is that?
Exactly. But I think one thing I wanted to add, is the so we're living this double life. There were kind of long hours. We lacked a bit of purpose, and that's what kind of drove us to actually do these long hours. But going on to kind of the partnership between Ash and myself, we, even during these projects, we always bounced off each other in terms of ideas, but we bounced off each other in a friendly way, of course, over a couple of drinks, but also really challenged each other. Like Ash won't hesitate to tell me I'm being an absolute plonker sometimes. So if I've got the wrong, I'm completely wrong, and he'll explain to me, and we will have the biggest debates over the smallest issue, but we won't back down. That's probably the biggest problem. We're both quite strong-headed, but we always kind of, it's always friendly at the end of it. We have a little breather, then we get back on it. But the point is that we challenge each other, and obviously hold each other accountable, which is quite good.
Yeah, and it just so happened that we had similar interests, and we had so there's two things that to sum it up in the sort of the turning point in the partnership. It was like the turning point. We realized this 9 to 5 was great. From the outside world, we were working at successful companies. We had successful titles. We were earning a good income. We were working decent hours, and everything was looking good. But inside, there was just like a hole. We were just unhappy with it, and it's hard to explain. Like you guys, and Susie, and like you guys listening, you probably will know if you're looking to be aspiring entrepreneurs that there's just something that you're unhappy with, and from the outside world, people don't understand, but you yourself know. So when that just became a little bit too much, and like Phil said, we asked that question, why not us? That was like a trigger that just went off.
And the biggest danger in that position is that, and we found it we were in this position for a while, is, it's easy to just stay in your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And that's why that trigger was so important, that we suddenly decided, all right, time to shake things up.
Yeah. Because that's true. Because a lot of people do get stuck in that I don't like my job stage, but do nothing about it. And we decided to do something about it. And then the partnership all came through us talking about what kind of futures we want, what kind of lives we want to build, and all this. And it was so aligned that we were like, why, one of the things that a lot of entrepreneurs complain about is how an entrepreneur's life is solo and is lonely. Because it's true, like, you do end up working a lot of evenings, overnight, skipping parties, and just sitting on weekends, and putting all this thing together while you're upskilling yourself and building stuff. We were like, well, we don't have to be solo. We've got similar aspirations. We've got skill sets that match. We've got, like Phil is very strong at things that I'm very weak on. And I'd like to think it's the opposite is true too, but so it just means that we can build something really good together if we worked on it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
and I think
Yeah.
to wrap one of the just to kind of leave this kind of maybe wrap this bit up about why we're kind of pursuing the journey we're doing now is a quote which I don't know where it's come from, but something that was maybe also a bit of a trigger where we discovered it. Life is too short to work towards someone else's dream. And
Perfect.
and I think a lot of 9-to-5ers will relate to that. Hopefully it'll be a kind of an eye-opening, a wake-up moment for anyone listening. But when we saw that quote, it's like, oh my god, it's completely true. We've got one life. My dream is to run a business. The business that I'm working for had to start somewhere. Let's start.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing and inspiring. And one of the things that I want to highlight there is that you guys, well, aside from it's admirable that you went into this marriage, I mean, I call it the marriage because it's like a long-term commitment. Aside from that, I think that what's really admirable and something that maybe people can learn from is that when you have ideas, you have to take action right away. I mean, some people would call it like, that's stupid or that's very impulsive, but I think that in the long run, that can actually benefit the whole thing. It's like getting the momentum, it's starting and getting the momentum versus doing nothing. So I think that's really admirable that you guys are doing this double live and everything. Sneaking this meetings because you are doing something, and that is moving you towards your Lvl Up Academy right now. Which brings me to the next question: like, what do you think is the purpose of this academy?
Well, we the focus of it is to help aspiring service entrepreneurs crush their limiting beliefs, right? Get confidence.
I love that.
Stop, overcome the fear of failure, and get clarify the winning business idea. And again, as we mentioned before, this whole program is built out of our own experience. We recognize that a lot of 9-to-5ers who are aspiring to be service-based entrepreneurs probably have loads of ideas, right? They have loads of ideas going through our heads, and exactly the same as we had back in the day. But when things really started to change for us was when we got clear, kind of, got clear on the problem that we are trying to solve, focused on that, and started building our business towards that. And overcoming those limiting beliefs and the fear of failure was huge for us as well. So we've been working with people so far. That has been a huge game changer for them. A lot of the frameworks that we take them through, the kind of the methods that we take them through, the exercises, it's we've had tears on the call. We've had people just fall back into their chairs and think, oh my god, how is it that only now I'm making these realizations? And it gives us, giving me, goose pimples on just talking about it, because it's so rewarding to see that. But a lot of people will go through their careers, and especially early entrepreneurs, thinking to themselves, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I'm not good enough. What if people think this? What if I fail? And that's kind of the starting point of our program. Of course, then we move on to talk about or coach people on clarifying their offer, getting really clear on that single problem that they solve and how they communicate it as well. So and it just gives people, so they get the confidence and the soft skills to put their message out there and finally get the ball rolling. We built our business out with no kind of huge expenses. And we've turned our business into a profitable business without spending huge amounts of money.
Yeah, absolutely. And
sorry. Yeah, I'm just curious. Like you told me like it's like a 2-year journey for you guys. And I think when I was talking to Ash before, I think I saw like you were fitness coaches before. Is that right? Or
yes, yeah, that's how we started. So as Phil said, we had a bunch of different ideas right in the beginning.
Exactly.
And I think this is where a lot of the people we speak to, like new entrepreneurs, and you probably had the same experience talking to people, is that you have loads of different ideas, loads, right?
True.
And then you also go on YouTube, and then you'll see everybody telling you the get rich quick schemes. You can make millions in 30 days by enrolling in this program or doing nothing, selling books or whatever. Like all these different business models that seem to be extremely profitable with bare minimum work. And the thing is, a lot of people do jump into those things, including us. We had those ideas on our board that we were brainstorming. We're like,
thank you for being honest. And
it's easy, right? Because like, especially if you're going through the cycle of being sick of work, you associate working with pain, and then you associate not working and getting money with pleasure. But you actually you forget why you didn't want it in the first place. You forget that you wanted a business that you don't want to escape from, right? Like Vanessa Lau says. So if you think about it like that, we had the same kind of aspirations, and then we realized at some point that actually that's not really our skill set. Like if we started doing a business that we had nothing, like Amazon FBA for an example, if you started that, like we had no interest in that. We didn't really have any strengths for that, and we didn't really want to build that long term. So lucky for us, we kind of mitigated it by figuring that out and saying, actually, we want to be doing something that invigorates us and gives us energy. And then we started like building out our list of strengths and interests, and we realized we are both into fitness. We both had a very similar journey about getting fit, and we both had similar kind of aspirations about what we wanted to do. And Phil's PhD is in muscle function, and I had a personal trainer qualification. So we were like, hang on, we have this thing and like qualifications, and we've got the interests. We should try it out. So we decided to put our efforts into becoming fitness coaches.
Let's not forget that we've been trying to lose weight for our entire lives, and we've succeeded several times, but we've also gained weight several times. So we've been through the cycle. We've tested various approaches to losing weight. So it was definitely it was another aha moment. I mean, to be fair, it was an exciting time because it was definitely, as Ash said, one of our passions. But it was a discrete passion. We were coming up with all sorts of crazy ideas, and then we thought, hang on, this is something we could be really good at, and we were really good at it. We helped a lot of people, had incredible results.
Because our thing was different. What we wanted to do, because again, it was all about our backgrounds and our experience, right? So what we realized was there's a lot of people saying, do this crash diet, and in 3 months you'll look like a god, and you'll be fine. And we were like, well, that's not really what we're all about. And instead, we were like, what we want to teach you is the methods on how to build a healthier lifestyle with healthy habits. And
more
in 3 months, exactly. And like in 3 months, we had a 3-month program, and then we're like, in 3 months, yes, you will lose weight, get fitter, and all this stuff. But actually, even then, we were big on mindset. We're like, what you're going to develop is the mindset that's going to keep you getting those results for years to come. So what we branded it as is like the last fitness program that you'd want to go on. So and that's kind of what we did. So because it was in our interest, in our passion, we built that up to make it successful. And then we realized that actually there's a lot of people through the pandemic and people we speak to that they were like, oh, I want to also start my own business, or I'm getting sick of my 9 to 5, blah, blah. I don't really know how to do it. And I want to be doing it on something that I'm interested in. And that's when we decided, well, we've done that. Why don't we start helping people?
Exactly. And the kind of the fitness business is still there.
Yeah.
It's still we're still helping people on that side. And as Ash said, we're massive on mindset. And the same kind of mindset techniques are implemented in our program now as well. It's all around limiting beliefs, fear of failure, and a lot around identity. And kind of the confidence to visualize a different future for yourself, because a lot of people get stuck in that comfort zone that we spoke about earlier, and so just daring to visualize or kind of dream of a different future it's a big step. It's hard work, and so we were working with these clients to help them visualize something different. And as well as giving them the kind of the tools and techniques to lose weight, so we've implemented the similar techniques we used in that program into our program now. And so it's quite exciting, but that's still bubbling away behind the scenes. And what we really want to do in the future is introduce that into the entrepreneur world, right? We're now working, getting entrepreneurs the tools and techniques to kind of get clear on their idea and get confident to kind of take the first step to build their business. But we, in our experience, health is so important in not only maintaining your physical health, but your mental health. It's a game changer. If you are physically healthy, it has a direct impact on your mental health, which is super important for any entrepreneur.
And that impacts your work, right? Because when we were working in the corporate lives, because time takes over, you kind of put your stuff in the background. You don't really work on your health. You give up all the foods that all the habits kind of go. But since we've built all that up and we kind of try to maintain it, we still every day here, like we work out 6 days a week. We eat clean, we eat healthy, all that kind of stuff. But we're not restricted. We still eat kind of what we want. We go out for drinks and all this kind of stuff. It's just what we enjoy. But it means that every day we have energy to be at our A game. Like we can show up and we start working quite early. We sometimes nowadays have to finish quite late now because we're gearing up for launches and things like that. But we have the energy to do that because of these kind of healthy habits that we've developed.
We were if there's any sort of advert for kind of living a healthier lifestyle or kind of the healthy entrepreneur journey, as we were pulling together the kind of material for our launch, we've got a before and after photo where you'll see kind of Ash and I in our suits kind of sat in a corporate canteen, and our faces are round. They look unhealthy. And
I cannot imagine.
Then you look at us now, and I think it was a bit of a wow moment where we thought, wow, okay,
we have come somewhere.
we've come quite far, but we feel a lot healthier now. Because we find it's super important to keep the kind of mental health on point and the physical health on point. So the point we're trying to make here is that the fitness business is bubbling away behind the scenes, but our main focus is this, and we want to bring them together in the future.
Yeah, absolutely possible, because I'm such a believer of the holistic approach to entrepreneurship. Like what you said, I think everything in our lives is interlinked, like all the aspects, like the health, our mental health, wellness, even our relationships with other people. So it's something that I truly believe in. Like it's not just 24/7 doing business, but also making sure that you take care of yourself. So I am so excited to have that merging of programs, because I think that's absolutely needed for entrepreneurs especially. And before I get to the questions about your program, let me have this one question from our audience. And this is pretty long, but okay, I'm going to read that aloud. I am also an engineer and a consultant, and my greatest fear is actually not getting clients because they prefer big companies. Is there something you can suggest how I'd start? Same dread, long hours, a lot of projects, burn out at work. Okay.
Yes.
Love that question, because it is a big, it hits on a lot of important points. It's kind of the fear of failure, the fear of inadequacy, and really what our program focuses on, that point of the kind of, it's not only clarifying your offer and articulating your offer, but kind of in the later phases, the more advanced phase of our program is all about building rapport with customers, right? Because selling is not about kind of sending an email to these big companies and and asking if they want to buy your product. And that's one of the big mistakes that new entrepreneurs make, that they think they've just got to put their product out there and hope that someone buys, or just sell straight away.
The launch and hope strategy.
Yeah,
exactly. But we know the business is a people game, right?
Yes.
It's about building a relationship and getting clear on the value. We both, we're both in this similar industries, so we both know that actually, if you get clear on the problem these big companies have and the value that your offer can give them, then why wouldn't they buy? But if you also spend the time to build that rapport with them, and get to know their emotional triggers, their kind of why is the problem a now problem for them, then the sales process, it's longer, because obviously building that rapport, building that relationship is longer, but it's more fruitful.
For sure. Yeah.
The other thing I was going to add is, obviously we don't know exactly the context of whether, you say you're not getting clients, but are you also chasing the same clients as the big companies are? So, ask yourself, are they really your competitors? Because sometimes when we look at, let's say when we're in fitness coaching, our competitor is not someone like Joe Wicks, because he's got this massive established fitness brand. We can't say, what he is doing is something that's directly competing with us, because we're not targeting the same clients. So the first thing I'd say for Black Belt Mia over there is just think about, is who are the clients that you are looking to target? And also the other thing is, it sounds like where you're coming from is a lot of lack thereof, like, I don't have this, I don't have that. That's why they would prefer these big companies. But if you switch that and think about, actually, what do you have? I mean, even if you were going for the same big companies, what you have is a personal touch. What you have is a solid work ethic that you can give much more than a big company who's just going to throw a bunch of people at it, right? You have a personal investment in making sure that the work you're doing is of best quality. And what you're going to be able to have is just the ability to be a person talking to someone. Versus a big corporate using their accolades and their name and reputation to just bag a client. And finally, you can also be cheaper. So, if nothing else, that can also work out.
But I want to reinforce the point you made earlier about, who is your real competition.
Yeah.
It's a big mistake. Another big mistake that the new entrepreneurs make. That, imagine someone wants to start a technology platform. Obviously we don't work with those services, but a technology platform. Some entrepreneurs might think their competition is Facebook, Google, and that's not the case. There's not just one. Those are the companies that we see out in the open. They're the kind of most prominent in the media. Obviously, ones that they in our lives every day. But start small. Narrow, and that's again what we've. The big realization that we had is narrow in on the problem that you as an individual can solve. And it won't be the same problem that the huge companies can solve, because they have money, they have capital, they've got heads they can throw at a problem. That's not the problem you can solve. And getting clear on your strengths as an individual and the value you can bring to even tiny segments of this big company, that will kind of get you started. And again, it is a journey. So you've got to enjoy the process of building this business out, rather than thinking you want to go from zero to $1 billion company overnight.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. I hope that helps, Mia. And we have another question for you guys as well.
Oh, nice.
For entrepreneurs who are considering on getting a business partner, business marriage, could you please give some insights on what we need to consider before getting ourselves into that marriage to make sure that the partnership...
Oh, lost you. Oh, sorry, we just lost you. I think we're back on.
Are we back? Can you hear us?
Hello?
Is it us?
Are you guys still there? Okay, yeah. Sorry, I lost. Yeah, you lost me for a few seconds.
That's okay. We're back.
No worries.
But yeah, great.
We're back.
Great question. So I think, firstly, I think what Susie said earlier was a great thing. It's like, you've got to first figure out what you want from life, from the future, whatever. Like if you're really considering a business partner, just think about, like, why do you want a business partner? If it's because, brutal terms, like Phil said, I don't really hesitate being brutal, right? If that's okay with you guys. In brutal terms, if you just want a business partner because you can't be bothered to put in the work, then I would definitely suggest don't do that. An entrepreneur life just might not be for you if you don't want hard work, right? Everybody glamorizes the entrepreneur life, saying you're going to have time freedom, you're going to have money freedom, all this kind of stuff, which, yes, you can have. But, in our 2 years, we haven't had that yet. We've had more freedom than we did before from a corporate life, sure, but we're not yet at the stage that you can just work on the business and just go away and for a month and then things just continue happening. So I just want to give you a little bit of reality to be like, it's going to take a little bit of time. So just know if you're willing to put in the work, then we can answer this question. I just wanted to preface that a little bit before going into it.
Yeah, no, it's really important. Our perspective of why we wanted to start our own business has evolved over time. Obviously, at first when we were earlier on, we thought passive income, great. We want to do nothing and make money. We want to make money while we sleep.
Yeah, just like everyone. Right? Everyone starts off there.
Exactly. But I think as we've matured a little bit and kind of thought about it a bit more carefully, the reality of what we wanted was to start a business so that we can be in control of our own time. And we always had little projects going on behind the scenes in our spare time. We would rarely, had our feet up doing absolutely nothing unless we, had a bit of a heavy night the night before. But we really wanted to be in control of our own time. Even when we had the passive income, we'd probably be building a business, right? We'd probably be doing some sort of project. But to go back to the question, we were lucky enough to be really good friends before we decided to go into partnership, and before we decided to go into work. And one of the important things about our relationship is that all our cards are on the table, right? We if we have a different idea of which way we want to go, yes, we'll discuss it, or we'll go our own routes. And I think that's really important. Not that we're not considering that at the moment, but we are completely open and honest with each other about what it is that we want out of this business. Luckily, at the moment, it is the same. But we were lucky enough to be friends before, and we were able to be honest with each other, and we trusted each other before we got into work. And we really focused on enjoying the process. So now I spend more time with Ash than I do with my own girlfriend.
Yeah,
which is a bit controversial, but we spend a lot of time together. We're obviously building out this business together, and you need to be able to cope with spending that amount of time with a business partner. Yeah. Unless there are also different partners you can have, right? There can be collaborators. We also collaborate with other entrepreneurs, other businesses, where it's a little bit, we meet every few weeks just to discuss and share insights and share material. So if that's the sort of partnership you're discussing, then you've got to trust them, and you've got to make sure that you're getting value as well as that, giving value to them. But yeah, for our own partnership, I think the fact that we're friends and the fact that we trust each other and we're completely open and honest, even if it's a difficult conversation, is really important.
Yeah, I would totally echo that. And if you're considering a full-time business partner that you want to go into a marriage with, then the thing that the trust element does become massive. Just because you want to be able to trust that you both have the same vision. You want to be able to trust that both of you will pull equal weight. I mean, of course, you're not going to measure it, but you need to be able to have that. The whole you want to be friends before versus not friends before, that's kind of up to you. I mean, it's worked out really well for us that we were friends and we had similar aspirations to grow. But we also recognize that actually a lot of people's friend groups aren't necessarily like that. Like, apart from us two and our partners, we don't actually have other friends that are in our close circles that think like us.
We don't have time for friends.
We don't have time for, we don't have to think. No. But
it's a good thing you guys have each other.
Yeah, literally. No, but we don't, a lot of people don't think like aspiring entrepreneurs, right? Everybody is quite happy going to their 9 to 5, going out to drinks, chilling out. And so if you're going to look for a business partner, whether friend or not, I would definitely suggest look for someone who has, one, a similar vision or the same vision to you, at least in the medium term, not short term, but medium term. And the second one is that they have similar work ethic to you. You don't want to be a person who wants to work all the time and the other person wants to chill out all the time, and vice versa. Right? You want to have a similar work ethic that you can get towards. And also the third one is you want to have a skill set that complement each other. Like, if you have the same skills or you think exactly the same way, it might not be the best idea, because you're both going to be going into potentially the wrong direction together, thinking it's right. If it goes right, that's great. But if you have things that you're open, like Phil said, are open to challenging each other. Actually, fun fact, when we were going full time into our business, changing from side hustle into the main hustle, we actually spent a day, actually 2 days, literally outlining every single like goals that we had in terms of like professional goals, personal goals, all this stuff, and going through our limiting beliefs, what tends to hold us back, what tends to make us procrastinate, all this. Literally, when we say open book, it was open book. Like,
and that was sitting on this same couch, right, looking at each other and thinking, and both of us saying to each other, I don't feel good enough. Sometimes I feel like I don't have what it takes. Sometimes I feel like, I'm not able to pull my weight or keep up or whatever. And we laid so many truths out on the table that it was really uncomfortable. But off the back of that, we're like, okay,
we now know.
Let's do this.
So if you're considering a business partner, I would definitely suggest it's a great thing, because like I said, entrepreneurship is quite lonely. So if you have somebody else to keep you accountable, keep you going, definitely do it. But yeah, pick someone that you can actually just spend a lot of time with without getting sick of them. And even if you do, maybe find ways to be friends with them afterwards. But no, I'm kidding. But seriously though, do definitely think about getting along with them and having that trust. Because too often you hear stories of people who aren't friends before, they go into a business partnership, whether with a contract or without a contract, but then one person screws the other person over or not, right? We don't really want that. You just want someone who you can actually genuinely trust.
Very similarly to marriage, funnily enough.
Yes, exactly. I was about to say, like, it takes two emotionally mature people to get into marriage, and it's the same with business partnership. Because my first business, I had a lot of partners, but that worked out well as for me, because the same thing with you guys, the level of trust is there, and I guess you have to go through the dating phase. Like, you can be friends, but also you have to to see or assess the business ethic, or like how you work with each other. So that's also a good sign before going to the marriage phase. You have to date first.
Absolutely. And Ash touched on it earlier on about people not necessarily understanding you. Your current friendship circle not understanding you. And one thing that was really, we were lucky enough that Ash and I were part of the same friendship circle. And what we like to say, I can't remember who it is that says it, but it's, you got to surround yourself with OQPs, right? Only quality people. So if you're looking for a partnership, then consider who is in your social circle at the moment. Okay.
Right.
If you're not feeling motivated, I'm not saying ditch your friends, but if you're not feeling motivated, or if you're feeling always really challenged psychologically and drained when you try to talk about your aspirations and your ambitions and wanting to start your own business, and no one ever understands you, then maybe you got to consider actually finding another circle. Not ditching the old one, that's fine, you can stay in there, but you got to find a circle that empowers you. And so Ash and I were kind of part of that circle. We had, at least we had each other, that we were kind of always empowering each other to try a different business, to try something else, to kind of push ourselves a little bit further. And we were lucky enough to then agree, right, we can motivate each other to create something quite exciting. So have a think about how you can get yourself into a circle of only quality people.
Yeah, absolutely right. So Majo would like to say thank you for your great insights. Wow,
Pleasure.
that's now you can talk about I want to know about the program that you have. So what about you're going to launch a program, and I think you're going to have your masterclass soon. So talk about it, please.
Yeah, sure. So we had we kind of built our business, the side hustle, over the last couple of years, and then a few months ago, this year, we went full time because of we were able to do that. But as I said before, what we realized is that was fitness coaching side of things was still there, and then we started working with people to help them start their own businesses based on their passion, but more so to give them the confidence, communication skills, and clarifying their idea to actually go and make that happen. And the thing we realized is, up until now, we actually never launched our business officially.
Okay.
We had all these clients that we were working with. We had, we were just talking about it. We were doing all these things, but we never had a launch. We just kind of accumulated clients and things like that. So now we're like, wait a second, we've gone full time. We need to launch this.
Yeah.
So we're having a launch later this evening in the UK time. So yeah, to talk about like our business, we're doing a free training all about how, like, our story, about how we came about discovering this passion, how we developed that business, how we then transformed it into kind of the main hustle. And now we want to help people figure out what their passions are and how they can turn that into a profitable business.
Yeah, there's still time to register, so you can hit the link in our bio. But it's
Good
later
segue.
on. Yeah. But it's later on today, and we're super excited because it is the first time we're doing this official launch. But yeah, it's completely built on our own experience of building. I mean, it's multiple businesses that were profitable. We've kind of gone from property to fitness to what we're doing now, and multiple businesses, and we're kind of the course is built on everything we have learned in that journey and everything we've learned in our consulting years and designing businesses, helping the kind of the biggest companies in the world kind of improve their performance and clarify their message. We were business designers before we went solo. So that's kind of what it's built on, but also our kind of our skills in coaching. What we do, we coach in our spare time anyway. Even when in the corporate world, as we mentioned earlier, we gravitated towards those leadership positions or those leadership roles that required us to mentor other people and help them get that confidence and improve their soft skills. So we're leveraging that and putting it into this program, which is a one-to-one program. Spans over the one-to-one sessions span over 3 months, but the modules can take any kind of longer or shorter. We encourage a certain so it's a combination of the one-to-one weekly coaching sessions with the kind of video tutorials and a kind of implementation exercises. That's one thing that we're really hard on, is we didn't want to create a program that just gives loads of theories, loads of frameworks. Of course, you will get these frameworks because we appreciate people learn in different ways.
Right.
But obviously, when you join a program like this, you want the result, right? You want to get to the end of the program and feel like you've changed, feel like you've got that outcome that you wanted. And the outcome is to have the confidence and the clarity to put yourself out there and start attracting those paying clients, which is exactly what we did. And it's been a game changer for us, and we want to help these kind of new aspiring service-based entrepreneurs do the same, because you don't need huge investments, you don't need a huge following to create a profitable business. We're evidence to that. We haven't we'd made investments back in the day, while we were trying to build other businesses, and it didn't work. The business we're running now, the investments have been more our time and our effort and our expertise. Financial investments are, helpful, but they're not essential for you to start your business. And that's what we're showing. That's what the program is based on. It's to help those aspiring entrepreneurs get the confidence, conquer those fears, the fear of failure, the limiting beliefs, and actually finally kick off that dream business that they have always wanted to.
Yeah, and for us, we really realized that there are loads of people who teach you how to start a business. They give you the strategies, the tools, the techniques, but there's two problems with that we found while we were trying to start ourselves. First one was that they were all reserved for what seemed like this elite group of people who had already made it, who were already rich. There were people who already had loads of money to invest in something like this, and they would go somewhere, they would get all the top techniques and strategies and stuff like that would just make them successful. And when we were in our corporate worlds, we realized we were part of that problem, because we were gaining all these skills and getting trained up in the corporate world, and then teaching other corporate businesses how to grow from millions of dollars per year to tens of hundreds of millions of dollars per year. And we were like, hang on, this doesn't make sense. Why is this reserved to this random group of people for no reason, right? And the other problem was that if a new entrepreneur wanted to go and do that, actually the problem was not just the strategies and the tools, because if someone gives you the exact step-by-step strategy, you still have to be able to do it, to execute it, right? Which is, if somebody tells you, hey, you know what, here is an Instagram guide to grow your following, go live every day and deliver value, you have to first have the confidence to even go live, or know how to speak to add value. So the strategies and tools are just not enough. So those are the two problems that we identified, and we're like, okay, so we have all this experience, 10 plus years of experience of working with these massive corporates and helping them grow, but all the same strategies and tools can apply to a small time entrepreneur who wants to grow their business, because it's the same thing. Business design over there is just upscale. Business design for a new entrepreneur is just a smaller scale of the same thing. So we realized that everything that we had learned can be put into this program in a nice little framework that will take them through the journey. And then what we had to do was just figure out this whole confidence element, right? Because that was the second problem, was that people, even if we give them the strategies and the tools, they can't execute it. So we figured that out, and we realized that actually we can put together this framework where we crush those limiting beliefs, like Phil said, and then give them this whole confidence that they feel like they can do the work that we tell them to do. Because otherwise, we're going to tell them, hey, go speak to customers and validate your offer. They're like, okay, you know what? Suddenly that's 3 weeks down, and they haven't done anything because they feel overwhelmed, right? Because of the fear of failure, fear of rejection, all these things comes in. Yes. So if we give them the step-by-step of crushing all those problems, giving them a whole new set of beliefs that empower them, then they can take the steps to clarify their idea, and then actually go in and communicate that with customers, right? To validate their offer, to make sure that what they're saying makes sense. And like we said before, sell, but it's not selling, because actually what you're doing is you're solving problems. You're not going to be sleazy and push different things on different people that don't want it, but you're actually just talking to people who have a problem that you want to solve. And so that's kind of what our program is all built around.
So it kind of falls into three key pillars. The confidence element, the clarifying your offer, and the kind of communicating with purpose, which feeds into the question we had earlier on about finding your network. Those are the three pillars. It's fine. The third one is about communicating with purpose and creating opportunities by putting your message out there, putting yourself into these other communities, whether it be to find customers or to find partners. So we kind of the program is built on those three pillars. Sorry, that was a massive ramble.
Wrong answer.
long answer to your question, but hopefully it covered all the necessary points.
Okay, I'm flashing your Instagram and Facebook and email, so just in case somebody is interested to check out on your where are you launching? Is it a masterclass? Is it on Instagram?
It's going to be on Zoom, unfortunately. But if you go on our Instagram, you'll find the link. It's just a link in bio to register for later this evening. But cool. You can do that. That should Instagram is probably the best way to go and find that. Yeah. And hopefully see some of you there.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I signed up for your masterclass, but I'm gonna see because I think I got a notification earlier. So I'm so excited. I think that you guys nailed speaking from someone who is also training other coaches, I think you nailed the gap that I'm seeing as well when it comes to service-based entrepreneurship, because not all people are good communicators, or at least it's something that can be trained, because I was a soft skills trainer back in the corporate, but I can see the gap as well that you're saying, that this is a big concern because some people just dread being in, or just simply messaging people. So I think this is a huge, a critical part of doing a service-based entrepreneurship, especially if you're starting solo, because I don't know, you don't have anyone to talk to, you don't have anyone to brainstorm with. So I think that is a really that's a really huge problem that you are solving, guys, with your program. So for those who are listening right now, please check out at the Lvl Up Academy on Instagram, and you can register for their launch. All right. So
George has got this in the link as well.
yeah. So just to wrap things up, because a lot of people who are listening here are are listening here are really starting, entrepreneurs as well. And what could be the biggest tip that you can give to them?
We love quotes here. Love quotes. We've had to really hold back from quotes.
Okay.
But we'll give you one that will help. And that is progress over perfection, right? And that we kind of touched on it before. One of the biggest things that was kind of holding us and a lot of other people back is you always think, oh, I want to make sure this idea is really good before I put it out there. Or like, oh, I don't want to feel embarrassed about what people will think if I talk about this thing that I want to do and stuff like that. But what we would say, and what we found out, is literally just start. Just even if it's absolutely crap, just start, right? It doesn't even matter if your idea is not refined, if you just don't even know if the idea that you're going to start with is something that you're going to end up with. It doesn't matter. Just the fact that you start will give you a little bit of momentum to then keep going. And then actually, the real journey begins after that, where you have to figure out how you're going to be consistent, make time, discipline, all that other stuff. But just start with something that you like.
adding value, right? We've mentioned it several times today, that adding value to your customers, the people you want to help, and they won't care whether you've got a pretty website, whether you've got a pretty a complex funnel, or a book or whatever. If you are adding value and you're communicating that value to them, and you're building trust with that person, with the individual, the company, the team, whoever it is that you're targeting, then it's progress. It's making that first step, taking that first step. If you don't put yourself out there, you will never get feedback to help you grow. So, you've got to remember that failure or rejection is part of the journey. But if you look at rejection and failure as a learning opportunity, then you'll take it as feedback rather than rejection, and you will make progress moving forward. Perfection is a it's a losing battle, because there's no such thing as perfection. What you've got to do is build your business, gradually listening to the feedback of the people you are targeting. And if it's constant rejection, then think to yourself, am I targeting the right people? Or am I clear on my offer? Am I clear on the problem that I'm solving? So absolutely, progress over perfection is something we have on our whiteboard every day. We get bogged down in creating pretty posts and perfection, and chasing perfection every day. It's a daily battle for us, and I'm sure it's a daily battle for many entrepreneurs out there. But just remind yourself every day that it's progress. Just get it out there and see what happens.
And the way we like to remember it, and should really hold back, but one more quote. But the way we like to remember it, and it's that anytime you feel uncomfortable, you have to do it. Like, if you feel uncomfortable with something, you have to do it.
And it's a really annoying. It's really frustrating, because if you feel uncomfortable doing something, just make sure you don't say it in front of this guy. I mean, we do it to each other, because if there's any hint of hesitation, I need to do this, but I can't be bothered, or I don't, it might not work, all of this, any sort of hesitation, you know what the response is going to be. The response is like, just do it, post it, do it out there, do it now. Yeah, do it now. And interestingly, I wanted to mention earlier as well that we do have differing skills, very similar skills, but also ones that we've got strengths in slightly different areas. So I tend to go down the kind of the creative design route. Ash is more of a creative wordsmith. So he's really good, writing his copy, writing, he's really good at that, laying his thoughts onto paper. And actually what we've done recently is flip that. Right, so I've forced Ash to kind of get onto some design work. I've been writing more copy, and it's all about growth. It's all about that journey and putting yourself out of that comfort zone.
Yeah. I love listening to you guys. Like, there's a really good chemistry in this marriage. So you made a good decision to do this.
We've had our coffee. We've had a good night's sleep, so we're all good. Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Okay, one last question before we end. We wrap up
Yeah.
this session. And of course, I'm going to get this individually from both of you. But what is your definition of freedom?
Actually, you said individually, but we have the same. Like we said, we put everything out on the table, right?
My God.
Maybe
Okay.
we mentioned it earlier about the fact that it's kind of to do what we want to do with our lives, right?
Yeah.
But maybe we probably do have slightly different visions or slightly different things that we want to do in our spare time. Maybe.
Maybe. We'll
Maybe
see.
I don't know. We'll see.
test
But
it
I mean,
out.
for me, it's I love my water sports. So one of my visions, my definition of freedom is to be able to go and kite surf, windsurf, surf. Whenever I want to. I live in London. I want to live a life where I can run my business and nip out for a windsurf, nip out for a kite surf when it's windy. If any of you guys are into your kind of wind-based sports, then you know that the wind is unpredictable. Even the kind of weather experts out there can't predict the wind, so you need to be ready to be able to just go. But
Yeah.
I think we do. One of our similarities is that we want to be able to be the masters of our own time. So whether it be building a business when we want to, whether it be going on holiday, going skiing, going kite surfing, whatever it is, participating in these hobbies and these sports that we want to do. But I do think more importantly is just be able to be the master of your own time and your own future.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that.
I would echo that. I think the whole freedom thing for us, for me as well, is definitely the time element, right? And he's been trying to get me into water sports for a little while now, but for some reason, time just doesn't allow us to go and do the things. But yeah, I'd want to do that as well. But otherwise, also just be able to go on a holiday and go see some sights, go see a different city, go travel, but while
Yes.
still being able to work on the business, right? You want to be able to
Yes.
set it up to a certain position that it can run itself, that you can do these other bits and bobs, but nip in and out of the business, and it will still be great.
But the reality is that when we get an opportunity to have that freedom, we, alongside these other hobbies that are quite independent, or like holidays or the hobbies of the sports, we do also just naturally want to help people. Like, one of our hobbies is getting out there and helping individuals. We love, working with our clients and, building out this business. So it might sound cliche, it might sound a bit cheesy, but even when we've got all the time in the world to do whatever we want to do, I think we'll be doing what we're doing now.
Probably would.
So,
Yeah.
even when we are on holiday, we'll probably still be doing what we're doing now.
Climb call?
It's fun. Yeah, exactly. So, I
Which is
think it
what-
does boil
yeah.
down to being the master of our own time.
Yeah. That's absolutely something I agree with, and this is why we're here. This is why we're doing the digital business. And of course, just like what I said from the backstage, like you are invited in the Philippines. You're very much welcome here once the pandemic is done.
We've already booked
Yeah.
our flight. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, my hostel is very much open for you guys, so we can do a lot of surfing. So
If you ever want to come to rainy London, then you're more than welcome.
Although it is sunny today,
Ah.
so you can enjoy the sun over here with us.
Exactly.
oh, thank you. Yeah, I got so many guests from UK. So yeah, I'm 100% sure I'm gonna travel one of this. I don't know, maybe next year, and visit you guys. So it's either you come
Absolutely.
here or I visit you.
Sounds great.
Fantastic.
All right. So
To
thank
everyone
you.
else listening. I just
Oh,
want to
sorry?
say, everyone else listening in, if you ever have any more questions after this, then really don't hesitate to message us, DM us. We are always happy to help. Whether you're in the program or not, always happy to help. So get in touch, DM us, and it's been a pleasure being
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting us, the opportunity to. to speak.
You're welcome. Yeah, this has been very, very fun. So I think I'm gonna invite you another time, maybe for a coaching, a guest mentoring for my class. Let's see.
We'd be happy to.
We'd love to.
Oh, yay! Okay, so before we end, I just want to do like a really quick promotion of what's gonna happen inside my program as well, because I'm also promoting. I'm also starting my next program. So, oops. I have a private Facebook group that is called Filipino Coaches Community. So if you guys are interested to become coaches as well, so you can join this community, and I have some valuable stuff in there, and you can get started with some tips and some knowledge about basic knowledge about coaching. And every Thursday I have this Create Your Own Freedom series, where I invite these guys from different parts of the world for them to inspire us to get into entrepreneurship, specifically because my advocacy as well is to turn your passion into a full-time business, pretty much similar with the Lvl Up Academy. And every other Friday I host a Zoom community called Fuck Up Fridays. So we are always talking about the fuck ups that are happening in the business. It's like a therapy session for entrepreneurs. So you're welcome for you guys, Filipinos. Sorry, I can't reach the global community right now, but yeah, this is for now for Filipinos. But you can, I mean, in UK, you can also do your Fuck Up Friday. So I love this community. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So before we end, is there anything else from you guys that you wanna say?
No, I think one final plug for our kind of free training later on today. There are some we've been building it out over the last few months, and there are some. We kind of established the offers that we wanted to put out there, and then we thought to ourselves, all right, time to kind of level that up. So the offers are crazy. Like there are gonna be some crazy offers available on this training. So if you attend the training today, then there's a 24-hour bonus that you'll find when you get there. So
it's so good, we're actually gonna make a loss. But we wanted to do that. So.
But again, our entire mantra is all about kind of helping other entrepreneurs kind of come up. So we're really excited. So sign up to the registration. We look forward to seeing you there, and massive thank you to Susie and the team for inviting us. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been good fun.
You're very much welcome, guys. Yeah. So thank you again, Ash and Filip, for gracing our show today. And I do hope to collaborate with you maybe one day soon. I'm really excited with you guys because our advocacy is pretty similar. And I can totally relate with whatever you're saying earlier, because aside from the marriage, everything, the values, the advocacy, absolutely agree with everything. Thank you again so much. And for those of you who are still here, you're tuning in live, so thank you. And I will see you again next Thursday. Again, this is Susie and this is Ash and Filip. Thank you, everyone. And remember that you already have your own gift to create your own freedom. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, everyone.
I'll see you backstage.
Bye-bye.
Bye.